Hello everybody, and a huge warm welcome to your golden ticket to success, freedom and happiness. And it's my name's Maria Kay, and it's my utter pleasure to welcome Star Monroe with us today. She is a warrior for women. She leads a movement of fully expressed women who are totally tuned into their divine feminine and who are not afraid to live out loud, bold, bodacious and fearless lives. Welcome, Star.
Hi Maria, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's so exciting. I'm going to get straight in today because I just want to hear so much from you. And my first question is, what took place in your past that has impacted you in such a way that's helped shape the person that you are today and ignited the passions that you do carry today that drive you forward to do what you do?
Okay, that's a big question. I've always been a seeker, so ever since I think kind of early 20s I've always been a seeker, always wanted to learn more, always kind of felt there was something else going on in this world, but I wasn't quite sure. I couldn't put my finger on it. And that seeker kind of energies has always been with me, but it's kind of led me to certain paths and doorways, and slowly, even now, things are kind of coming clearer and clearer. But I suppose what brought me to where I am today is I've had sort of a very varied life experience, and I suppose that you could look at it that I was kind of overshadowed by quite destructive energies. I've been an addict, an alcoholic, I've been in various abusive relationships, I've got myself into a lot of debt, and basically did everything I could possibly do to tune out from me. I didn't realize I was doing that at the time, but looking back now, that's kind of what I was doing. And slowly over the years, I've peeled away the destructive habits and kind of taking away the destructive habits, and then in the last couple of years really just taking away the destructive thought processing as well. It's kind of left me questioning. A couple of years ago I had a second breakdown. I kind of was questioning, who am I? I wasn't too sure who I was anymore. And I kind of knew 2 years ago that the way I was living my life, it was no longer serving me. I could no longer live it. I was very much in my kind of very action-orientated energies, and from then on I've kind of slowly unpicked and unraveled myself, and that's an ongoing journey. I think that's, you know, I'm forever going to keep finding things out about myself, as there's always depths of layers, but I kind of feel that I'm coming home to my soul's path and what she wants for me, and I feel very strongly that that is kind of really tapping into my divine feminine, my sacred feminine, and I'm kind of just understanding what this is all about now, and kind of living more aligned with my feminine energies as I go forward into my life now. So kind of how I was and how I am now is I'm definitely coming from a place of love, kindness and compassion, and that's not easy when you've come from a place of not liking yourself and wanting to destroy yourself, but it's a practice, and I'm committed to that practice of moving forward into my life now. So there I am.
Thank you. That's such an honour to hear that story, my darling. Thank you so much for sharing so openly. So would you say that because I'm hearing, you know, that theme of love and compassion is coming through for, you know, in your life now. So would you talk a little bit about self-love, because that's something that I'm a huge teacher for, and something that I rant on about all the time, when you use that word, to my students and clients. So I love how you touched on that, and how that's perhaps sounds as though that's been one of the pivotal almost threads of you kind of, you know, bringing yourself into that space that you're in now. So talk to us a little bit about that. How does that work for you?
It's a really good question, actually. Thank you, Maria. But I was coaching and mentoring women a couple of years ago. Before I took some time out, I was coaching and mentoring, and I coached and mentored on self-love, like create self-love practices. And I was coming from a place of just doing them. So like sort of have a rest, have your hair done, make sure you do a little exercise, eat good foods. So I kind of was coming from a place a couple of years ago of doing it, and I wasn't really embodying it. So it wasn't kind of coming from a sort of a deep place. And also when I looked at self-love, I was sort of looking at it, I was thinking, what is this all about? What does it mean? And isn't it a bit wafty and a bit airy-fairy? And who wants, you know, what is it? So, and it's interesting that in the last couple of years, since I kind of come out of that train of thinking, which has taken, I mean, like I'm 2 years on, and I really do get that what self-love is all about. And it's not just doing things, it's not just having your hair done. Right, okay, so I think how I was before was it's very external. So the self-love was, oh, you know, I always looked very good on the external. But the way that I look at self-love now, it's very much on the internal, so it comes from inside out. So I'm doing things and I'm making choices from a place that I am enough as I am right now, that there is nothing wrong with me now, and I'm okay, and I'm making, so that's how I would look at self-love. So, and even as I'm talking to you, I can hear my ego in my head going, this is rubbish, this is rubbish. So this is a still practice, you know, it's still, I'm practicing, and I kind of just feel like I'll be practicing this for the rest of my life. But I'm coming from a place that I am enough, I'm okay, and when I mess up, because we all mess up, we make mistakes, that it's okay. And so just to kind of, it's more the internal way I'm talking to myself and making all my decisions, that's how I would describe self-love. And also, one of the big things I always say is it's less of the push, so I'm pushing less. So less of the driven, determined kind of raw sort of energy, is more I'm seeking the pull. So I'm always seeking things that pull me to them, that kind of, oh, I get excited about doing it. Then I follow, they're the things I follow. And also part of this self-love is letting go. And so for an ex-control freak, you know, that's quite, okay, so you've got to let go and trust that someone is, or, you know, or the people looking after you, that are, you know, I'm just going with the flow, and I'll just get there. So it's continuous, but to answer your question, is self-love for me is coming from the inside out, not the outside in, because I know how to look good from the outside, but I didn't know how to look good from the inside, and that's what I've learned most recently.
Well, that's an awesome answer. I love that, and I totally get what you're saying there, because I experience it too, and it does take a lot of awareness, doesn't it, to walk your talk, yeah, as a leader or an inspirer of other men and women, yeah. And I'm totally with you on that, and I have to check myself on that quite often. But it's great because it gives that message out to everybody who's, you know, in your space, that yeah, we know it's not easy, we know it doesn't always come easy, but you have to make a commitment, right? Yeah. And I love how you touched on working on the outer as well as the inner, yeah. and the inner almost being the the foundation really for anything external. So yeah, I love that. Thank you. So tell me, has there been anything, and you've talked about some quite poignant moments in your life, some sort of quite deep issues that you've trudged through. Could you perhaps pick out one or two prominent points that you maybe stopped yourself and maybe sort of decided, right, enough's enough, something's got to change? If so, you know, could you tell us a bit about that moment?
So 6 years ago, July, I was using cocaine, I was drinking heavily, and my relationship was very messy at the time, and I found myself on a hotel floor, because the reason I was in that hotel is because I'd run out of cocaine at my house because I was using on my own, and I'd run out of booze and everything was shut, and the only way I could get booze was to check into a hotel rooms and get room service to deliver me booze. I woke up in the morning in a fetal position and I said to myself, what are you doing? Enough is enough. And that day I stopped drinking and I stopped using cocaine. And then it was really interesting because at that point, you know, a year on later, I would have thought I would have solved all my problems. But what I did is took my addictive behaviours and threw myself into the bodybuilding industry, and I became a figure competitor, and I competed and came like 10th in the UK. So that was, but I'm very glad of that transition. But then conversely, 2 years ago, in between that 6 years and the 2 years, I started drinking again. I haven't touched drugs again, and I won't. But I started drinking again, and my business was getting busier and busier, and I was getting more into that kind of do, kind of keep going, and I was getting very stressed. And that resulted me into my second breakdown, which involved, I mean, I've got a teenage son, and it involved him, and it got really messy. And just at that point, I said, you can no longer drink. That is it. So at that point, I stopped drinking 2 years ago, and I will not drink again. And I said, and that, for me, that second breakdown was more poignant than the first breakdown, because I said, I'm no longer living my life as I am. I'm not sure how I'm going to live my life, but it's not going to be this way. And I cleaned my act up, so then I stopped drinking, I stopped smoking, I stopped kind of being so driven and determined, and I went back and did, what did I do? I did loads of work on myself. I did loads of eating psychology work on myself. I did loads of inner child work, and it's led me, I'm studying to be a psychotherapist, because I feel kind of that's my way to unpick and unravel the complexities of my mind. So those two breakdowns were very poignant and life-shifting in what happened afterwards.
Wow. I'm really hoping that our audience were picking up on your vulnerability, but also your determination to get back up and to know, because I can feel it, that you know, as you said at the beginning of the interview, that there's more to life than what you were experiencing. You know, that we're here to live in our bliss zone. You know, we're here to live happiness every day, and the fact that you weren't experiencing it, you didn't settle, and I love that, and I hope that our audience out there are really, you know, picking up. They may not have the same the exact same issues that you have experienced, but I'm hoping that they picked up on how you have a choice, no matter what the severity of what you're experiencing in the moment might be. And I relate to what you said about shifting from one compulsive or addictive behavior to another, because I relate to that a lot, because in my early days I experienced eating disorders of all different kinds. They kind of sort of flowed from one to the other, and once those were kind of healed on a level, I then became compulsive and obsessive in the home. So I was a clean freak, this kind of Stepford wife that was highly unattainable and unmanageable, really. So it is funny how it kind of has a way of seeping back in, like through the back door, doesn't it? So, so how easy or hard were those changes? You know, you've talked about how you made those decisions and that you started sort of throwing yourself into, you know, your practice perhaps of going inside and learning more about yourself. And why perhaps you were here on this planet, living this life in the body that you're in. But I know from my experience that it does take constant awareness, constant dedication, and takes a decision. You have to make a decision and stick with it. So just because I want everyone really listening and watching to understand that no matter how many times you might perceive yourself as falling flat on your face, there's always an opportunity to learn and grow from every single thing that might perceivably be yucky. Could you talk to us about how you would pick yourself up, and how you trudge through perhaps a difficult day?
Okay, so you opened that up and you kind of said what's it like staying on this path, and I find it challenging. I find it completely challenging. I don't think it's easy. But the thing is, the way that I would look at it is that you've got a lot of people that kind of live at this lower level, that kind of aren't awake at all, that just kind of go to work, sit on the sofa, open a can of beer, and that's it. And honestly, when you're not awake, when you have no idea, I think that's really easy. That's easy living, because you've got no other kind of, you're not awake to anything else, and I would say that's really easy living. Even though you're going to have your dramas and stuff, then what tends to happen is that at some point, if you're awakened and you take that sort of opening, once you start to be awake, you can never go back. That's what I find. You can never go back. Once you've got that knowledge and you're more awake and become more conscious, it kind of, that's it. You're kind of on this journey, and if you're kind of inquisitive and curious and sort of and intelligent, and you know everyone who's listening to this, they're all going to be in all those three, that you just kind of want to know more. But along my journey, at that point of me coming out from here to here, I used to say a lot is, oh God, this is so hard, I wish I was asleep again. But I no longer say that, because I think as you're kind of progressing your journey, is that, and you ask the question, how do I keep on this journey? The number one thing that I feel keeps me going and keeps me elevated at a higher frequency are the people I surround myself with. And for me being a loner, thinking I could do everything on my own, I didn't need any help, that's been the biggest shift for me, that I surround myself with people that are living the same life as me. And that hasn't been easy, because there aren't that many people that want to elevate themselves, but the people that do, you'll find them. If you put it out there, you will find those people. But spending more time with people who want to live a better life, that are awake, that are becoming more conscious. So that's my number one, that I've got to surround myself with that. Then there's certain practices and rituals that I kind of do in my day. And again, from me being this kind of really structured, kind of, I had to get up at this time and do this and go to the gym and exercise then and eat then, I've really loosened all of that and kind of, how would I say it? Okay, so there's certain things that I feel happier doing, and it's been experimenting with them. So when I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm always happier in the day, always. And I'm not suggesting people have to get up at 5 o'clock, no way, right? But for me, that works, and I feel much happier. I'm more settled throughout the day. I don't have any anxiety. The other thing is that I keep seeking the pull. Like I said before, I keep seeking the pull. So the things that pull me to them. So recently, yoga, I'm trained in to teach dance and Pilates, but what's pulling me is yoga. I'm not trained in that, but I'm going to keep following that and keep practicing it because it lights me up. The other thing is I was going to say something then, it's just gone out of my head, but keep following the pull. Oh, and that's the other thing is dancing. Keep dancing, moving my body, moving my hips, kind of more ecstatic dancing, more free dancing, rather than a structured dance class, which freaks me out. I couldn't do, but put music on and let me dance. And that's been recently. And then and then there's all of that. And then the other thing is constant awareness of, that's my teenager in the background, constant awareness of my thoughts. So I'm consistently watching where I'm making my decisions from, and I don't want to make my decisions from a constricted, fear-based place. I want to make them from an expansive, open place. So I'm always conscious of these two, and when I'm constricted or fearful, and I flip between these throughout the day, I just take some time out, I go for a walk, or I go and read something. And sometimes for me it's just having to get off Facebook and stop comparing myself to everybody else, and just kind of just giving myself a slap around the face, you know. It's just like, come on. So I hope that answers.
That does. Well, actually, you've answered multiple questions there, because I was going to ask you about your daily practice as well, because I'm with you. I'm a big believer in finding what works for you, though. Like, and I love how you said, like, not every, because at one point in my life, I was this whole kind of, must get up at a certain time to meditate before the birds wake up and all of that business, but that actually isn't congruent with who I like to sleep. Like I like to go to sleep, and I like to, you know, sleep well. So it's really important to figure it out what it is for you. So I love how you highlighted that and made that really clear. So
can I add something else?
Yeah, go for it.
I tell you, the biggest thing that has shifted for me is because since I was 13, so I'm 43 now, so that's 30 years. At 13, something triggered that I started hating my body. So for nearly 30 years, I made my choices from that my body wasn't enough. There was something wrong with my body. And as I came into this year, I stopped doing it, and it had something to do with what I was saying before. Yeah. So it makes me really emotional, actually. I say it because it's been the biggest shift for me, Maria, ever. Because when I stopped thinking that there was something wrong with my body, it's freeing me up to explore so many other things in my life. It really is. And you know, I've had the hard body, I've had, you know, super muscly, I've had the washboard abs, and I don't have all that anymore. I'm curvy. I weigh more than, you know, I normally kind of weighed when I really was obsessed about it. And this is a practice as well, living like this. But I cannot tell you the freedom that this has given me, giving that up, giving that my body isn't good enough, and just going, it is fine as you are, and it just freed me up for so much.
Oh, you are such an honest and just an open book, and I love that, and that's why I really was so excited to get into this interview with you today. And I think you and I have a lot of similarities, because from a very young age I too hated my body, and I actually went through put myself through a process well over the past few years of understanding that I wanted to really be able to walk my talk. If I was helping women with body image and to really, you know, love their own skin that they're in and all of that, then those remnants of body hang-ups that I still had knocking about needed to be not eliminated or obliterated, but just literally, you know, allowed to be brought to the surface, to be healed on some level. So I put myself through a number of different exercises, one of them being a photo shoot, which was a very bearing all kind of photo shoot, and it floored me, absolutely floored me. It took me about a week to recover, and I've written about it. It hasn't been put out there yet, but it will do. So I really do relate with what you're saying, and it's just great to be able to come together with another woman, another female, even if guys are out there watching this today. Chances are you will have a woman in your life, whether she's a mother or a sister or, you know, a spouse or a partner. And also for women to know that behind every kind of bold and brave exterior in a woman, underneath, we're all the same, and we all have most of the same hang-ups and issues and fears. And so I think this is where people like you and I coming out and being open and saying, hang on, don't think just because I'm this and this that I don't have the same issues as you. I'm just going to give a little tip actually, because I too was all of the things that you mentioned, you know, perfect size, perfect this, perfect that, but it did come at a price. It comes at a price, and it wasn't a price I was willing to pay anymore. And one of the tips I actually give to my clients is cut all the labels out of your clothes and be okay with buying any size. Be okay. Doesn't, you know, if you want skinny jeans, for example, but you don't want to like suffocate every time you wear them, then buy a size or two bigger. I do.
I don't care what size I wear. I don't give a shit.
And I remember one particular client, you know, we were sat in a session and she said, oh my goodness, that is the best tip you've given me the whole time we've been working together. All right, my lovely. So I really want to hear about one thing, if you had to pick one thing, one message to give out to everyone, to share, one passionate message, what would it be?
That you can live your biggest, wildest dreams. You can do whatever you want. Whatever you want. You don't have to limit yourself. You don't need permission from anybody. You can do what you want, and you just need to find the right people to surround yourself with. You want people living their dreams, their biggest, wildest dreams, and you want to be inspired by it. And just don't hold back. Be fully expressed in everything that you do, because the world is craving more fully expressed women. It really is.
Oh, that's so juicy. Okay, so moving on from that, for anyone in our audience who is at a point in their life where they can't put their finger on it, but they just don't feel that something's not quite right. That you know, they wake up in the morning and they haven't got that kind of zest. They don't want to, you know, they don't jump out of bed and say, you know, life, come and get me, or here I come. But they don't maybe know why or what to do next. What would you say to them in that instance?
If they've got a good girlfriend, so a girlfriend that listens, like it's really important that we as sisters, we listen to each other and we don't kind of jump in and go, oh my God, I'm feeling exactly the same. So if you've got a girlfriend that listens, or like a mum or an auntie or a nan, anybody that will listen to you, you verbalizing it, getting it out of your head, talking to someone is going to be extremely powerful. And from talking about it, you're going to realize certain things are going to start coming out. If you haven't got anyone to talk to, then journaling is good. I know journaling is not for everybody, and as I've worked with women, some of them love it, some of them absolutely hate it. But just typing on the computer, there's private journals that you know you can get for free, and you can just type in there, or just writing. But finding some way of expressing what's going on, and even if it's gobbledygook and you're not really saying much at all, you want to get into the habit of learning to talk about it, because that's the biggest thing. We tend to hold everything in and think we're the only one, and then it manifests itself into something much more awful than it actually is. So cultivating really good supportive a group around you, so you can express and talk. And if that's not available for you, then journaling, either typing or writing.
That's awesome advice. I agree with the journaling as well. And I always say, even just write bullet points. You know, if you're too tired at night, which we all tend to be sometimes, you know, just scribble, and don't worry about what it looks like, what the spelling is, or what the grammar is. Just get it on the page. So yeah, that's brilliant. Okay, so in one sentence, could you please define success?
Doing what I want to do.
Okay, and freedom.
Traveling.
Okay. Miracles. I know you write a lot about miracles because I do follow you.
They are all around us. We only need to open our eyes and start noticing them.
And money.
You can have and do what you want with money when you give it the respect it deserves.
Fantastic. One last question before we wrap up today, and I think I know what your answer is going to be because you've touched on it already, but I really want to bring it up for people to, who are watching, to absorb it. Do success and freedom go hand in hand, or are they separate?
No, all in the same thing. I think it's as you kind of start to get more curious about your life, I think it's really good to start dissecting what success means for you. And if you talk to me early 30s, success would have been lots of money, Louboutin shoes, Louis Vuitton handbags, trips to Vegas. But as I've progressed and kind of tuned more into my soul's path, success for me is doing what I want to do on a more kind of deeper level so I can serve other people. So I think, wherever you are in life, that's where you are. But I think you have an ongoing conversation with yourself and with great friends about what success means for you.
Thank you, that's beautiful. Well, I know that you have a free gift to share with our audience today, so would you like to tell them all about it?
Yes. If anyone would like to, if anyone's kind of in a funk, if any part of this conversation that I've had with Maria is resonating with you on any level, then I'm offering a complimentary call with myself. And the easiest way for you to do that, shall I just give you my email details?
Yeah, go for it, yeah.
Then just email me at star@monroe.com. I'm going to spell that for you. So it's STAR@STAR-Monroe, MONROE.com. Email me, say that you've listened to this conversation, and then we'll set up a call, and it'll be about 15-25 minutes, and I can just we can have a chat, see where you are, and see if I can just give you the first initial pointers on stepping forward into a life more of kind of freedom and sort of joy-filled, like you said bliss-filled life. So I'd be more than happy to offer that to everyone that's listened.
Fantastic. Well, I think you're going to be inundated, Star. And also, if you didn't quite catch that address, guys, it will be in the information that you'll receive anyway. So no need to scramble around and worry about that. So thank you so much for this bliss-filled interview. I have loved it. I hope you guys out there have loved it too. Grab Star's, grab her, spend some time with her. She is, divine to be around. And thank you so much, Star. I'm wishing you a bliss-filled day.
Thank you very much, Maria.
Bye.
Bye-bye.